Hi, friends. I am doing another behind the scenes interview with some guys I really think are super cool, and I want to introduce you to. A lot of my friends know who Prince Ivan is,
How?
but I'm ashamed that not all of them do, okay? I'm not doing my part. So, this is Prince Ivan. Introduce yourselves. What's your real name in real life?
I'm Bryden Brett.
And I'm Aaron Space. That's my name.
I'm learning things right here along with you. So they perform together as Prince Ivan, and will you tell my friends a little bit about your philosophy behind the music that you write? They sing and perform original music primarily, and your concerts are like high energy, jumping up and down. I'm talking about the audience. I'm too old. It's exhausting for me, but it's a lot of fun.
You're not too old.
No, you're a good jumper.
It's a lot. Sometimes I was on beat and everything. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Your fans go to have a good time. They're not there to sit around and be passive audience members.
No, and I think that's the whole idea behind it, is that we want to do fun, mainstream music that's cool, not cheesy or hokey, but that's still clean. Nothing inappropriate or suggestive, So that's been what we've been trying to do the entire time. We named ourselves Prince Ivan after my nephew Ivan, and then Prince just sounded cool. But we wanted to create something that we'd never be ashamed to show Ivan, And we feel like the music industry, we feel a gap where there's so much material that is questionable, that parents wouldn't want their kids listening to, or that's just really not good for society in general. And so we want to create music that's really cool and competitive, that doesn't have that kind of inappropriate stuff in it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I've been to your concert.
Yes.
One of your songs, actually, that's a little more mellow. I want to ask what your wife's first impression was, because they wrote a song that I love called "Let Her Be Beautiful," and it's very insightful to women's experiences. And as cute and young as you both look, they're both happily married. And so you have that relationship with a wife. You have moms and sisters.
Yes.
That tell me about writing "Let Her Be Beautiful," and what were your wife's first reactions when they heard that song?
Well, you were actually part of the inspiration for that song, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, my mom and you and some of our fans are as well. Yeah. Just kind of giving feedback that, hey, this is a need, this kind of topic is important.
Yeah, so we didn't want it to be, originally it was going to be like a ballad, just kind of like a heart, eat your heart out, kind of just a ballad saying "Let her be beautiful," and that, all women, we shouldn't objectify women, which the song does talk about. But when we got into the actual writing session with Bryden's brother Garen and with their cousin Austin started just kind of going on this more driving beat production that we hear in the song now. And at first we were kind of like, is this okay for the message of the song?
Right.
Will this really, will it help drive the message home? But the more we listened to it, the more we loved it.
Yeah.
And it really complements the song, because it makes it the mainstream kind of feel, but I guess you described it as mellow. I would describe it as kind of like the darker tones and the kind of darker colors as I would see it. They really drive home the message of the song, the feeling of the song. And
empowerment, yeah.
Right, and kind of when we were writing it, I was imagining the song like on a sports commercial of different types of women like working out or playing their sport.
Serena Williams. Or something.
That was exactly the vision I saw, was like having the chorus "Let her be beautiful" and black and white, and seeing Serena Williams hitting a tennis ball super hard or something. But anyway,
She'll be calling now.
Yeah. I know.
She will. She tunes in.
Yeah. But that song has proven to be one of the most important in our career so far.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and our wives, they really did love it. Shayla loved. I remember Shayla's first reaction, Aaron's wife, and then Mina's first reaction were just really great, and it's connected at a level that I mean, all of our songs are doing really well, but that's the one that's kind of just risen to the top because the message connects so well and it's so relevant.
I think so. I think it's unusual for male artists to respectfully portray and describe women that way. It was not objectifying it. I called it, when I first heard it, I remember going, wow, that's an anti-pornography song.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And we spent a lot of effort trying to say the right things and not say anything that was demeaning or showing women as weak or unable, you know, to, or, you know, because it's a fine line. I feel like talking about women as victims versus being strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
while still acknowledging how the girl sometimes feels.
Exactly.
Totally.
So it's there's such a complex of emotions.
Yeah.
And so you want to say things that are empowering but still drive home the point. And I'm grateful that I feel like we were able to do that.
Yeah. So if you've never heard any of Prince Ivan's music, check out "Let Her Be Beautiful." Like it, share it, listen to it, buy it. But then listen to the other music, because it's just one little facet of who you guys are and what you do, right?
Yeah.
You've got some stuff coming up in the works, and I'm excited to hear more about it, because I feel like this year has been rough on the whole world.
Yeah.
When have we ever lived through a year so rough on the entire world? And I feel like all of society, not just even America, we're ready for some hope and positivity. And I mean, we need a break from what we've been through, right?
Yes.
And you guys have some stuff, some plans to address that,
We
don't
do,
you?
we do. So on May 25th, the George Floyd incident that kind of proved to be the spark that ignited so much in the country, and the political, everything, this has just been really divisive since then, right? But it's raised into awareness a lot of issues that seem to be fundamental to the problem of divisiveness. We see a lot of fruit, but we don't get to the root. And so we were in this process of creating music, but then as soon as that happened, we wanted to get involved, but we realized very quickly that there's so many voices, and you might see one thing on this social media account, another thing on this one, this thing on Fox News, this thing on CNN, and you don't know what to believe. And so it began this process for us of kind of going dark on social media, even for months there, where we didn't feel like it was appropriate to be releasing happy music or anything. You know, we felt like we needed to study, research, go into our closets, seek God in prayer, and so we've been hundreds of hours in research and development trying to come up with, okay, how can we approach this topic of racial division and just division in general, social issues, with love, with truth, and with unity. And so that's the project we're working on right now, and we're planning on, as soon as we can in 2021, releasing an album called the Unity Album. And the project's going to be really special. We're really excited about it. We've never felt more passionate about anything, honestly. So we're going to put our all into it. I think it's going to be hopefully something that proves to be a resource to people. It's kind of we hope it's the resource to others that we wish we would have had when we started this journey. If that makes sense. Because there's just so much information. Most people just give up and go back into their old norm. And this is about getting us to a new normal, a higher synthesis of love than we've had before.
Now, because I know you, I know that unity is not just racial unity.
Correct.
To you, that goes beyond that, right?
Yeah, well, there's so many other isms and sins that are still rampant throughout the world. I mean, the racial conversation is, kind of stems from the scar tissue of slavery, but there's still other forms of slavery in the world. Child trafficking and sex trafficking is definitely a predominant form of slavery in the world. And just the general topic of equality. I mean, in America, while in America I think more than any place in the world, there's some sort of balance there between men and women, but in other places, I mean, it's so drastically different. The difference in privileges between men and women, that's a human issue that the scriptures talk about. And we believe that in the scriptures, when it says that all men are created equal, men is in the word women, and that's mankind. So all of us are created equal, and obviously there's lots of other things, but our ultimate vision is to create what Dr. Martin Luther King called the beloved community, or what we would call Zion, I guess you could call it a utopic society, but where we all abide by a universal set of human laws. We can have different views, different cultures, different backgrounds, but the idea is that we all aspire to have an abundant life, an abundant standard of living. There are no poor among us. That'd be no poor financially, and also no poor in spirit.
And I think you guys would agree with me on that. That's not going to come from any governing body.
Right.
That comes from people desiring it, right?
Yeah.
So it starts with the individual.
Yeah, and it's love-based, and it requires people to buy into a vision. And I think that's one of the things that we're missing today, is like there's so many contrasting visions. And so we're hoping to paint a vision and to help reshape a vision that's already been put out there by Dr. King and others. That maybe people will say, you know what, I can buy into that. Let's all kind of invest into that idea of a love-centered, God-centered type of community where we can come together. And at the end of the day, like you mentioned, there's so many issues beyond race. Race tends to, I think it's the one domino, though. If that domino falls, then a lot fall, you know? So it's a gateway. And that's one thing that Dr. King said: when you work on one evil, you work on all the evils. And so, yeah, there's a focus on that for sure. But at the end of the day, we are spiritual bridge builders. We're racial bridge builders. We're just trying to build bridges between people, you know? And that's the end of the game for Prince Ivan.
And that's why we are friends, because we are definitely different. We're for sure not the same age. We are not from the same part of the country. We have very different experiences. But I think you guys are both really good at finding the commonality and focusing on that with people. And that does build, I've made more friends that way, learning from you. I've learned good stuff from you guys. Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Well, that's
At my age, still learning. Is that amazing?
Oh, that's so good.
It shows your humility.
Yes.
Indeed.
That's a big vice versa, though. You know, it truly is, and there's so much we can learn upward, downward, and sideways if we just open ourselves up to it. That's one thing I've learned since all this started happening in 2020. I've just learned to be humble enough to learn from other people, and there's so much value if we all will bring the best of our lives and our cultures together. Leave the bad behind, but bring the best. We can create something really special.
Now, just because obviously one of you is black and one of you is white, and so what do you say to someone when they say, well, who are you, just because you have one black friend, Braden?
Right, I know.
Who are you to talk about race?
It's a very, very good question. Well, you know, race...
Who are you to tell me about race, right?
Well, there's racism in America, and there's racism generally. Like, racism is at the heart of so much division, just historically. It wasn't called racism back in Old Testament times, for instance, but it was always tribal division. There's always been division, right, based on ethnicity, based on privilege, and certainly as a white man in America, I certainly don't seem to have a lot of room to talk if you listen to certain voices, but I think it's important. What we're trying to get is everybody to buy into a higher vision, that there's more, and that frankly the labels that we've bought into, such as black, white, yellow, brown, red, those are man-made. Yes, man-made labels that we ultimately want to do away with, because there's only one race. We're all one part of the big human family. You know what I'm saying?
We all hurt the same, right? We all love. In fact, you have another song. It says we all have red hearts.
Yes, yes.
There's more. There really is more in common.
There is. Yep.
There is, and that's not the discount.
No.
Obviously, it's important to acknowledge the problems
Absolutely.
that we have.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the history, but we cannot. In order to progress, we cannot continue to dwell on the past, but rather work towards a brighter future together. But that requires understanding on all sides.
It does.
Black, white, male, female, we all have to come from a place of humility and start from within ourselves individually and with a common vision. And I think that's what Bryden was alluding to. There's so many voices, but nobody has really tried to unify within a solution. And we're just hoping to contribute to that conversation to provide a clear vision of what a possible solution could be. And Bryden especially has been doing so much research with religious leaders, Dr. King, and searching the scriptures to really dive deep into the fundamentals of what creates a beautiful or a beloved community.
So that's the foundational, the background for where your concepts, where your music comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Very serious and poignant topics.
Sure.
But then you turn it into a dance party.
Right. So this project is going to have that old school activistic feel. It's going to be really cool musically, but the whole vibe of it will be positive and unifying ultimately. But then we have a bunch of other singles planned for 2021 that are going to be just great.
Cool.
Fun, dance, whatever kind of music. Just good pop music, you know what I mean? But this particular project is going to have a more serious bent to it, but we want to make sure it's a great listen from start to bottom, and that everything that comes associated with the whole world we're creating with the Unity album is entertaining and captivating enough to keep people engaged with the material. Because you don't want to create people can get messaged out, right? So we want to create unity and love, and we want people to feel that in the music as well. So I think it's gonna be great. We're gonna have some great collaborators on it. It's gonna be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Something to look forward to in 2021, right? We all have good stuff to look forward to.
That's right.
Okay.
The Prince Ivan vaccine is coming.
Looking forward. Get a shot.
That was dumb.
Get a shot.
That was dumb. Probably insensitive. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for talking. Thank you
Yes,
for talking to me, Prince Ivan. We'll put some links to the songs we mentioned
Okay.
Okay.
and share it with everyone.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.